Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great new year. My name is Jake from Umbrella IT Services. I appreciate everybody taking the time today to join me for a very brief seminar on cybersecurity awareness in 2026. So, without any further ado, I'll go ahead and jump into this. Just to get some things out of the way, this recording will be available in an evergreen fashion. You'll be able to jump back and reference this at any time. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to throw them into the live chat. If possible, I'll address them right then and there. There will be a Q&A at the end of the session as well while I'll answer the questions. So, if you run out of time and you have to run away, you can feel free to ask your question. I'll answer it at the end, and then you can reference that at a later date. So, without any further ado, we'll go ahead and dive in here. So, first thing that I want to talk about for everybody is going to be the number one threat that I've seen across our clients, that I've seen across the industry, speaking with other experts, cybersecurity experts, other managed services providers, web developers, WordPress security experts, you name it. There seems to be a very consistent threat across all industries that has been kicked into overdrive by the new AI industry that's joined us over the last couple of years. And that threat is something called social engineering. So social engineering is essentially where these malicious actors, these hackers, they hack people instead of hacking technology. And the biggest downside to this new threat is, unfortunately, that it doesn't matter how much you spend on security tools. It doesn't matter how good your antivirus is. It doesn't matter how expensive your firewall was. It doesn't matter what you've done to your Google Workspace or to your Microsoft 365. These people are now targeting the people inside of your organization. They're leveraging trusted relationships to gather sensitive information or to install malicious software. So I'm going to go over 4 of the main types of social engineering threats that we've seen in 2025 and have already ramped up quite a bit in 2026. And then we're going to go over some solutions to these things. So to start off, I'm sure everyone is familiar with phishing scams. One of the statistics that we have here are essentially that regarding phishing scams, only 50% of staff can successfully define phishing scams. So a phishing scam, again, is when a malicious actor impersonates a trusted source to gather sensitive information or to install malicious software. So in this case, I've got some examples here. It's a fraudulent communication using email, text, phone, or the web. It's impersonating a trusted source. It's sparking an emotional response, including a call to action to resolve that cortisol rush, and then also, again, installing malicious software or collecting information. Next up is baiting, and I'm going to go into each of these with an example once I'm done this overview. With the baiting side of things, this is where you've won the $100 gift card. This is where ICBC owes you $500 and all you have to do is click the link. This is where something is too good to be true. They're trying to get you to click on something. They're trying to get you to put in information such as your email, your address, again, any sort of sensitive information, so that they can then leverage that information against you, your network, or people that trust you. Another example here would be honey trapping. This is where people are now using social media, they're using dating apps, they're using email, LinkedIn direct messages, they're impersonating a nice looking lady, they're impersonating a nice looking man, and they're reaching out to you trying to build a relationship with you. It could be romantic, it could be platonic, but they're trying to build a relationship to garner your trust. I've seen some of our clients build relationships with people, friendships over LinkedIn. They end up doing business with these people. They send them a $25,000 payment for some equipment for their company. That money just goes nowhere. The equipment never arrives. They receive flowers to their office. They receive all sorts of very, very personal things from these people. And it gets quite out of hand. But again, it's someone impersonating somebody, building a relationship with you, usually ends up resulting in blackmail or some sort of fraudulent payment scheme. And again, they do want to collect that information and install that software. And the final thing that we'll be talking about today is water holing. This is where somebody compromises a trusted resource that you use quite frequently. This could be a database that you access. It could be a website that you purchase things on. I've got a couple of examples here, but again, what they're doing is they're impersonating a trusted source such as a website or a centralized data point, and they are corrupting it and changing something in it. So they are getting in between you and that data set and either feeding you false information, collecting information from you, or again, using it to spread malicious software. So we'll take a look here with phishing scams. So I've got a pretty good example here of how complex these have gotten. I'm sure everybody remembers back in the day, you would get an email or a text message. It would have something that I call spammer grammar in it. This is where you receive something with broken English, spelling mistakes. You can obviously tell it's fake. This was actually an intentional design by malicious actors to filter out people that were paying attention. It meant that they would have a higher conversion rate with these sorts of scams. So unfortunately, those days are behind us. Although some people are still leveraging those strategies, we are now in a much more sophisticated landscape where people are basically impersonating trusted sources, sending you expected resources, and burying the malicious resources inside of those trusted resources. So the example I have here is a DocuSign. So let's say that somebody sends you a real DocuSign. It's from someone you trust. You're expecting them to send you a DocuSign that week. You receive the DocuSign. The context of the DocuSign makes sense. However, inside of the DocuSign, there's some sort of link bringing you to a OneDrive link or a Google Workspace link or a Dropbox link, and you open up that link, it brings you to one of these Cloudflare human verification pages, which indicates that these malicious actors are now actually spending money on these sorts of scams. Again, that adds a layer of authenticity to it for you. Once you click on the human verification, you get brought to what looks like a normal Microsoft or a normal Google Workspace sign-in page. You sign in with your credentials, and the page refreshes. You sign in again, and then it tells you that the resource you're looking for cannot be found. Or you sign in, it tells you that an app is asking to get permission to your organization. You allow it to access your organization. Again, the page refreshes, forcing you to sign in again. You sign in again, and you get a notice that the resource is not available. And what they're doing with these sorts of scams is they're capturing your email, your password, and your two-factor authentication, and then connecting your account to one of their devices. So we'll get into that in more detail a little bit later. But essentially, what I want to make very clear is that the point of this sort of scam is to capture your two-factor authentication token and get access to your system. So even if you do have two-factor, this doesn't keep you safe. Even if you have something like an email filter in place, that doesn't keep you safe, as the link that they're sending you over email is completely legitimate. The DocuSign that it links to is totally legitimate. The OneDrive document that it links to is totally legitimate. It's the link inside of the link that's malicious, which bypasses a lot of modern security protocols. And having this human verification Cloudflare in place prevents automated tools from going to the other side and detecting that this is in fact a malicious link designed to capture your information. It's not the actual Microsoft page. So we'll go over some ways to protect yourself from that shortly here. Related to baiting, as I said before, it's one of those too good to be true situations. They're offering you an Amazon gift card. Maybe they're giving you some crypto. Maybe the government of Canada is offering to give you some money back. That's how you can tell that it's not real. So again, in this case, it's mostly common sense. You want to make sure that you're paying attention. You're not signing into your bank account for an e-transfer. You're not giving up your two-factor token for your banking accounts or anything like that. And you also want to make sure that you're not, again, giving personal information up to collect a gift card for a draw that you never entered or things like that. So again, best to just be aware of these. Again, there are tools that we're going to discuss later that will filter these out from getting to you in the first place. But if they do somehow bypass that, maybe you get a text message or you get a phone call, always be suspicious. Again, if something is too good to be true, it usually is. The next thing here would be honeypots, and I want to give an example here that kind of covers some pretty common anxieties that I've noticed where people think, I would never fall for that. This is something that's only going to capture simple folks. Unfortunately, in the UK, there was a gentleman that was an MP of the Tory party. Again, I'm not familiar with UK politics, but he essentially met a nice gentleman on Grindr, and that nice gentleman was sending him some very nice photos. and he decided to reciprocate and send the nice gentleman some nice photos. And in turn, the gentleman revealed that he was not who he said he was, and that he would be releasing those photos to his constituents unless he was able to provide him with the names, phone numbers, and some other information about some other people in his party. And unfortunately, this gentleman did pass along that information. 12 of those people, I believe the final count was 13, 12 of those people received a multitude of different types of phishing scams. Some of them were breached, some of them were not. And it ended up becoming a total scandal. The gentleman ended up resigning, and it was a total mess. But the point of this is I've seen high-level cases like this. Personally, I've seen situations where some of our clients' daughters have gone to college. They've met, again, some nice gentlemen on these dating apps. The gentlemen have sent them some photos. They've returned the favor. And then our clients have gotten blackmailed directly and received these sort of photos immediately after the daughter sent them off. And obviously this results in a tremendous amount of emotional distress for both parties. So it's very important to keep in mind, again, that these people nowadays, this level of sophistication, this is not just going to target you to get to where they want to go. They are going to target your loved ones. They're going to target your coworkers. They're going to target your friends to be able to get to you or to get to someone that you know. Maybe you have a VIP client. Maybe you have a family member or a family friend that's a very high net worth individual, something like that, high profile person. And these people have no barriers. They will target your children. They will target your elder family members. They will target whoever they need to get what they need. So please make sure that you're keeping that in mind. These people have no barriers, and it's very important to keep in mind that anyone that you meet online without meeting them in person, you do not know if they are going to be a real person or not. One of the statistics we're going to talk about in a little bit here is how it's projected that by 2028, 1 in 4 job applicants is going to be a fraudulent scam. And we're already starting to see that. I believe the number is currently 1 in 12, but we'll discuss that a little bit later. The final example I want to provide here is, again, the watering holes. So in this case, we do use Best Buy for Business occasionally to purchase some things, not too frequently, but occasionally. And when I was given a link by our account manager, one of our tools here did catch this. It turns out that the Best Buy for Business page, the forgot password button had been apparently compromised according to this tool. So when I clicked on the link, it warned me that it was compromised, and I did not sign into it and give my password over. If I had done that, potentially we could have gotten defrauded. So again, you never know if you're being given a link to a fake Facebook page. It could be, again, a database that you use all the time. It could be something like Jane app. It could be something like Clio. Any one of these applications being compromised, having a fake landing page put in place to capture your sign-in information is a very real threat, and I've dealt with it personally, and we've seen a couple of clients also deal with that in the future. Taking a look here, some of the liabilities and consequences that can arise from falling from these scams. So a lot of people think, you get scammed, you send $1,000 out, you have to go reset your passwords. They kind of don't think about the long-term impact of some of these threats becoming more effective. So for example here, with this legal and regulatory fines, if you are responsible for managing some of your clients' data, maybe you're a professional service, maybe you're a vendor, maybe you're a partner, maybe you're under some NDAs, these legal and regulatory fines become very real if you are the reason that this sensitive IP were to leak, or the reason why some T1s or T2s are now being used for identity fraud, or maybe some of the private agreements you have between your clients or your vendors are also being linked outside. Loss of trust, obviously. Again, if you're a lawyer, an accountant, a professional service, an engineer, a tradesman, whatever it is, and this IP that you're protecting, people's phone numbers, people's emails, things like this, people's birth dates, those are getting leaked to these hackers, and they're able to find out that you were the source of the breach. These people aren't going to trust you as much. They're not going to be as likely to do business with you. This is going to result in some reputational damage. That can also result in some financial losses, either from lost business, downtime, people quitting, people having their identity stolen, insurance being increased, things like this. Multitude of different ways that this can incur financial losses, not including the cost of recovery. Data loss is something people think about as well. You can lose your data if it were to get breached again. There could be ransomware implemented. People could mess with the integrity of your data. They could compromise your QuickBooks database, your Sage database, your QuickBooks Online information. Maybe they mess with some of your HR agreements, or they change the contact information of some of your contacts. So when you reach out to your contacts, you're actually reaching out to these people, impersonating those folks. I've seen that happen. The cost of downtime is a huge one. This actually results in about 60% of these businesses shutting down entirely. The average downtime is about 4 to 12 weeks to recover from something like this, where again, you get hit by ransomware, your email accounts get shut down, you lose access to your cloud storage. It's devastating for especially a smaller business. As I mentioned before, data corruption is quite a common thing to happen there as well. You also run into things like vendor and partner disputes, which is very loosely linked to the legal and regulatory fines. Restoration costs, it depends on the size of your business, but I've seen a number thrown around anywhere from $500 to $1,500 a person inside of the organization. It's a very rough way to estimate the cost of getting things back up and running. Plus, again, then you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks to get things back up and running. And then on top of that, any insurance agency that you work with obviously is going to be increasing the cost of your renewals over the next year, knowing that you were compromised. Now, this is probably the most exciting slide that I'm going to share with everybody today. So I do appreciate your patience as we kind of go through this one here. But I do want to make these statistics very clear to folks, as it is becoming more and more prevalent. A lot of these trends are not going away, unfortunately. So a lot of these trends are from 2024. And again, unfortunately, there's nothing but an increase happening across them. So one thing I want to make very, very clear up at the top here is that almost 2/3 of social engineering attacks that happened in 2024 were a result of insider negligence. And negligence is very different than an accident. An accident is something that happens, you have no control over it, a meteor falls out of the sky, you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Negligence is when you know what you could have done to prevent the situation from happening, and you did not do those things to prevent this from happening. So again, 2/3 of these attacks are entirely preventable simply by making sure that you are not being negligent. And we're going to go over again some of these checklists you can follow to make sure that you're not being negligent. Again, 99% of the people on this call are our clients. We've spent the last 3 months making sure you have everything in place to make sure that you're not being negligent in 2026. There might be a couple of things that need to be done so that you're making sure that you're 100% covered there. Another thing here, again, 60% of these organizations are shut down permanently within 6 months of a breach. They simply can't handle being down for 3 months, not being able to work, paying their staff to not work, paying, again, $5,000, $25,000, $50,000 to an IT company to restore their infrastructure, coming back from the reputational damage, dealing with the lawsuits, dealing with the insurance costs, all these things. And again, maybe their databases were corrupted, the integrity was messed with. When they're starting to call people, they're getting breached again because their trusted sources are now compromised. There's a tremendous number of threats that can cause this to happen, but again, unfortunately, the majority of these companies that get breached simply do not recover from it. One other two things here that are probably the most important would be that 60% of organizations believe that they're unlikely to be attacked. So if you're somebody that says, I'm just a 4-person business, I barely even crack $1 million a year, I don't work with anyone important, whatever the excuse is, whatever it is you want to sell yourself so that you don't worry about this or think about this stuff, you are the person that is statistically most likely to get attacked. Especially again in this AI age where the majority of these attacks are automated. They're scanning your website records online to see if there's a hole in them. They're scanning your website records online to see if there's an automated attack they can use. They're scanning your network to see if there's a hole in it. There's all these automated different ways they can get into your system. And again, the majority of people that fall for these things are, again, you'll notice that similarity, that 60% number, they are the people that are being negligent because they think that they're not worth being targeted. The final thing here is that smaller organizations are subject to almost 4 times as many attacks as enterprises. I'm sure everyone has heard about London Drugs and Honda and all these large-scale attacks that have happened over the last couple of years. No one hears about the electrical company that shuts down in North Vancouver, or the school supply company that gets destroyed in South Vancouver, or the accounting firm that shuts down in Burnaby. These things happen on a weekly basis. Unfortunately, they don't garner mainstream headlines the same way that things like London Drugs getting breached do. But these smaller companies, they're much more ubiquitous. There's much larger number of them. These people know that they only have maybe a small team like ours helping to keep them secure, if anything. And as such, they are a much more attractive target. Would you rather go after 100 companies using an automated platform that are going to bring you, let's say, $50,000 each? Or would you rather try and break something like Microsoft that has a team of 10,000 engineers working around the clock to make sure that systems are secure? It's a very easy equation from these people's perspective. And that final thing down here again is that it's estimated that 1 in 4 job applicants will become fraudulent by 2028. You'll notice here again, the trend is that the majority of cyber attacks in 2024 and 2025 used social engineering. So what this means specifically, you'll see here phishing is almost 40%. Other, which again was just different forms of phishing when I broke this down, was about, again, that same number. And then we had a tremendous number of these attacks using stolen credentials from the social engineering attacks. So again, gone are the days of malware being the most common form of attacks. Ransomware is on a downtrend. What's most common, again, is these people impersonating trusted sources to gather sensitive information from you. As you'll notice down here as well, unfortunately, this is not my stock portfolio. This is the number of attacks that are now targeting small businesses in Canada from 2017 to 2024. So you'll notice again, tremendous exponential increase, and the numbers are not out yet. I've seen a couple of reports, nothing that I would be confident enough to share with you folks. But I have seen numbers that are saying that the number of attacks from 2024 to 2025 have tripled. And that's due to the use of AI. And again, these are successful attacks. These are not, again, you getting a spam email from somebody, again, with broken English, broken grammar that you're ignoring. These are effective attacks that are actually working. So again, this number is on an exponential upswing. This is a real threat. And the point of this seminar today is to help people understand that there's a new bare minimum. If you're looking to be secure, you're looking to use digital infrastructure, this is the landscape that you're doing this in. You are now facing people impersonating your trusted partners. You're facing people that are automating threats, and you're dealing with the traditional technical exploits as well. So this is an entirely new landscape. The amount of threats have gone up exponentially, and it's very important that you and your organization stay secure and stay proactive. You don't want to be caught on the back foot with things like this. Now, the next thing I want to talk about related to the landscape is who is being targeted. So, unfortunately, you'll see here, it is essentially everybody. So we've had one client get breached. They did not implement two-factor authentication according to our recommendation for over a year. And what happened to them was a food and beverage, one of their caterers was breached. And they sent an invoice over to the company. And unfortunately, the link that they used to pay the bill was, again, one of those watering hole links. Their information was stolen, credit card fraud was committed. Thankfully, they were able to roll it back. But they did provide some more sensitive information to these folks that resulted in another person getting hacked in their network and being targeted by these same people that were targeting them through the caterer. So again, we're going to go over these trends in a little bit here, but this is now a situation where these people, they don't just shut your business down, they use you to target the next round of folks. So again, it doesn't really matter what field you're in. Everyone is being targeted these days. So again, if you're going, I run a donair shop, I'm just a food and beverage person, I'm just a loan consultant, I'm just this, I'm just that, it doesn't matter. You're now, again, if any of your technical layers are publicly available online, your social media, your website, your email, your file system, your firewall, and they indicate any sort of negligence, again, you're missing records on your domain, your email filters aren't in place, things like this, your firewall might have ports open on it that people can use to get inside of your network, things like that, you are now on the radar and you will be bombarded by a series of automated attacks. Again, I can show some examples of that later. For example, some of our clients have over 100 different sign-in attempts every 15 minutes into some of their email accounts. And these sign-in attempts are coming from all over the world. It shows us that these people are using a very sophisticated attack method, but it looks like the attacks are coming from Russia, Indonesia, India, Korea, all over the globe, and they're using these automated attacks to try and break into the accounts, again, hundreds of times every 15 minutes. So again, doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing, how small you think you are, how unimportant you think you are, they will try and get into your system, either to use you to get to someone else or to use you as leverage for their own personal gain. Once they get inside of your business, these are the sorts of infrastructure that they want to get into. So again, it's important to make sure you have controls put in place to protect this infrastructure. For example, if you're a healthcare provider using the Jane app, that database is worth its weight in gold. Same thing if you're a lawyer using the Clio system. If you're a construction worker using something like Jobber, having a job history of all your estimates, all your timesheets, all the contractors you work with, the subcontractors, all your vendors, things like that. Again, it doesn't matter. If you're a caterer, who paid in your business. If you're a retail shop, who purchased the shirts from your store. You never know who they could possibly be going after. Maybe you had a VIP in your store. Now all of a sudden they have their email for your reward system. Again, if you're an accountant, obviously having your accounting database, all of those T2s, T1, T5s being leaked would be devastating. It doesn't really matter the industry. Again, these databases are worth their weight in gold. It doesn't really matter, again, how benign and how useless you think it is. It is incredibly valuable in today's automated attack system. Looking at the users in your organization as well. Very, very useful information for these people. Who works in your company? Who can I impersonate? Once I have your client list, can I impersonate those users? So now I can go after your clients. Can I just breach one of these users? And then when I hack that user, can I now impersonate them to target the next person in your organization, or to target a client, or to target a vendor? The devices that are inside of your network. Again, very, very old school threat. Can I install something that records your screen and uses an AI summary to tell me when you went to a bank and what you typed in? Can I use another tool to monitor your keystrokes? Can I combine those two so whenever you go to a banking app or you go to a store and you type in your credit card number and this other information, I get that. When you type in your two-factor code, I capture that, things like this. Same thing with the servers. Can I compromise them? And now I have control of the heart of your network. Related to the networks, can I do a passive threat to your network? This is much more common nowadays than an active threat. An active threat would be where I get into your network and I shut it down and then I ransomware you. A passive threat would be where I break into your network and I monitor its traffic. I monitor what devices are connecting. I monitor who's coming, who's going. When are they in the office? When are they gone? What devices did they connect? How are they using the devices? What websites are they going to? Are they looking at naughty websites? Can I use that as blackmail, etc.? Your cloud accounts. When I get into your email system, I'm just going to have an AI. I'm going to tell an AI, hey, I haven't been at work for 6 weeks. Catch me up on all HR, financial, and legal records that I missed. Tell me about any communications that have happened while I was away. Tell me about my calendar events. You're going to get an AI summary of all your contacts, calendars, and emails, and these people are going to leverage that information to target, again, your coworkers, your vendors, your partners, your clients. And again, they're going to use that cloud account to their full extent to make sure they can get into other cloud accounts of your partners and your vendors. Communication platforms, again, I've seen WhatsApp get hacked, I've seen iMessage get hacked, I've seen a number of these different platforms. Anything and everything they can get access to, where they can see who you're talking to, what you're talking to them about. They can leverage that information to, again, extend their spread throughout the global ecosystem. If they can break into your website and they can take over your contact form, they now have a list of hot leads to go after. If they can go into your website and modify the contact information so people think they're calling you and really they're calling these people, and again, they're impersonating your team, very easy to do. Maybe you have a couple of downloads on your website, free resources. Maybe they're going to change those to ransomware installers. You never know. And again, backups. Maybe they will then understand that you retain your backups for 1 year. And once they understand that you retain your backups for 1 year, they will infect your backups for 1 year and 3 months, and then they will launch their attack. I've seen that happen before with multiple different companies, especially on the North Shore. And then the final thing is your access control systems. I've seen some of our clients get physically broken into as a result of their networks being cracked. And again, they weren't our clients when that happened, but they called us in to clean up the mess. And it's astonishing how these people were targeted over email. Once they got into their email system, they were able to get into the network, then they were able to get into the access control system, and then they were able to physically break into the office because they understand when people are coming, when people are going. They know the codes, they know people's access information. And again, we send this sort of details over email all the time. Hey, welcome to the company. Here's your onboarding code, or there's an HR document somewhere in there that has all those informations stored in a place where people can get access to them. Next up here would be the targeted information. So again, once I'm inside of these pieces of infrastructure, what am I going after? I want your login credentials, I want your financial information, I want your backup and recovery details, I want your intellectual property, and I want that confidential information. I can leverage all this stuff, again, either against you directly for blackmail. I can do ransomware where I shut your business down and make sure you can't access this stuff, or I can leverage this stuff against people that know and trust you, and I can now make you part of my scam. Same thing again, HR records, vendors and supplies, internal communication records, CRM details, and executive details. All of these things can be leveraged before, during, and after as different type of cyber attack. Now, very briefly here, we'll get into the different sort of strategies that these people are using, and then I'm going to tell you guys a story about how these tools were used, and then we'll go over a quick checklist of how to stay safe, and then we'll start wrapping it up. So essentially here we have social engineering strategies. So the first thing these people are doing is they're looking at your technical infrastructure and they're determining how they can breach you. So again, they're using AI to look at your LinkedIn, look at your Instagram, look at your Facebook. Did your wife or your husband go out for lunch with your child? I've seen that information that was publicly posted on Instagram be leveraged through a fake LinkedIn profile referencing a lunch that this person's wife went on with their daughter and the person that was being targeted's wife and their daughter. And they message and they say, hey, so great, the wife and kids got together, we got to do that again soon. Anyways, I really want to meet with you. Here's a meeting link. Just let me know when you can join in and I'll see you on Google Meet. And then they click in, they sign into the meeting. Turns out that was a phishing link. They don't even know that their account's been compromised. 6 months later, these hackers start using the account for all sorts of malicious activity. So again, these people are now researching you with AI across anything that's public records on your technical infrastructure, public records on your social media, and then they're developing a strategy using that information to attack you or to attack other people in your network. Once you engage with the attack, you usually get breached. They hang out for 4 to 6 months. They just collect the information they want. They make sure that they're doing this in as little disruption as possible so you don't even notice that they're inside of your systems. They clean up after themselves, and then they go out and they spread out to your network using you and your information as a lever to get into these other situations. Now, the timeline that I want to talk about here very briefly is related to this compromised timeline. So if we take a look at this, you can see the example that I have up at the top is directly related to, again, you receiving a DocuSign from a trusted source with a link to a fake Microsoft sign-in page, resulting in an account compromise. The hackers use your account to steal sensitive information, commit identity theft, corporate fraud, financial fraud, and leverage attacks against your internal and external social networks. So again, these people will use AI to scan for vulnerabilities. Maybe you have a client that left you a Google review that said, oh, this person did such a great job on this job. I can't wait to work with them again. What a fair price. Now you can go look at your company website. They can see what technician worked for that person. They can now, or again, they can just pick anyone at random. They can now call the person that left you the Google review and say, hey, it's me, this person from this company. I need you to do this, this, this. We're doing a follow-up on that service that we provided for you. Again, I gave an example of the social media activity earlier, whether it's being on a dating app, whether it's posting publicly on LinkedIn or Instagram. All of that information can be publicly leveraged and automatically leveraged by these malicious actors. Again, if your domain records are out of date, if you don't have spoofing protection so people can impersonate you over email, if you're missing things like DKIM and DMARC, which are different security tools related to email that should be present on your website, if your website is running outdated WordPress plugins, if you're using an outdated Squarespace or Shopify system, or if you're using a legacy email system that's not Microsoft 365, not Google Workspace, these are all red flags that are going to put you on an automated attack list, or again, a manual attack list. So very important to make sure that you have good hygiene across your public-facing technical infrastructure. Again, the next thing here is these people are going to impersonate a trusted source, whether that's over email, social media, WhatsApp, iMessage, you name it. They're going to send you something directly related to your existing social network, and they're going to try to manipulate you to give up your two-factor authentication code, to give up some other sort of sensitive information, or to install a malicious link across your system. The next thing here, once you get compromised, again, they're going to capture your username, password, and two-factor code with that spoof sign-in page. Once that's done, they're going to connect your account to a virtual machine using that information. So now they've got a virtual computer somewhere connected to the internet, usually hidden behind multiple firewalls or VPNs, whatever terminology you want to use. And then now this machine has full access to your account. It can now lay dormant for several months. They could automatically start using it to do things, or again, they can use it to manually start to look at whatever access those accounts have. So once they get into your account, they can use AI to analyze your email systems, look at your contacts, your calendars, your files, and anything else that's accessible to the account. The AI will give them a very nice executive summary of who you're talking to, what active deals you're working on, anything and everything that's going on. The AI will spit it out very nicely for them. Then they will pick their targets and they will modify the configurations of your system. So for example, if they want to go out after your lawyer, they want to go after one of your clients, they will change the mailbox rules. So when you email the client from your account, they will have their malicious emails get automatically deleted. And then anything that comes in from those people will get rerouted to the hacker so they can impersonate you, and the email will be deleted before it even gets to you. So these are very common types of changes they can make. Another one that I've recently seen, which is quite devastating, is they will use your account to install a universal backup tool across the organization to back up everybody's emails, contacts, calendars, and files. Once that's done, every single point of contact, every meeting link, every calendar event, every internal Teams chat, every internal Google Meet chat, every Slack chat, you name it, that's being filtered through an AI and being leveraged by these malicious actors. You can see how devastating this can get very, very quickly. If they were to start reaching out to people in your network, they can wait until you finish a meeting with someone. They can email that person and say, hey, great meeting with you just now discussing topic X. I forgot to mention that I need you to sign this document. I forgot to mention that I have a reference document for you. Click this link, sign into this OneDrive document. That person is not even going to think about it. They're going to go, yeah, I just met with you 2 minutes ago. Let me type in my username, password, and two-factor authentication code. Well, that's weird. The page reset. I signed in again. The link is showing that it's a dead link. Then the person will email you. That will get redirected to the hacker. The hacker will go, whoops, I forgot, that's the wrong file, it got deleted, here's the real one. And then it's some benign AI generated slop that summarizes something generic, and the person goes, okay, cool, thanks, I didn't need to look at this. They move on, they don't realize their account's been compromised, the whole cycle starts again 4 months later. I've seen this. This is now common. Again, final point here, the hackers will use the account access to get into other accounts. They will utilize HR information for identity theft. I've seen this happen. We had something like 12 members of one organization had their identity stolen. They have bank accounts popping up under their names, credit cards, all sorts of stuff. It's an absolute disaster because their HR folder was compromised. They will email the staff. They will impersonate the staff And email, HR, and accounting, again, they know who to contact. They know exactly how to phrase things. They can have the AI write emails like the person they're impersonating. And they go, hey, I forgot to mention when I was in office on Friday, I just changed my banking information. Can you make sure that my payroll goes out here today? I know that we send payroll out on Friday, but I have to have this information updated by Tuesday. It's Tuesday at 5:15, so can you make sure that this is done, please? And don't bring it up. It's sensitive. I'm going through a divorce, whatever. Again, I've seen crazy things pulled up and used in these sorts of manipulations, and they work. That's the scariest part. So again, they will also use it to request payments. So, they might reach out to some of your clients or vendors or partners and go, hey, forgot to mention, you send the money here. We're not using our legacy system anymore. Again, they'll do anything to manipulate your trusted relationships, commit legal and financial fraud, and any other sort of malicious activities they can do. Here is a list of some of the main methods that I've seen these people use once they get access to your account. So again, they will connect unknown devices, they'll change your account recovery details, they will download your entire OneDrive, Google Workspace instance, your entire SharePoint. They will share a link to all of your different information that's available. They will install third-party apps that control your email. They maybe do backups, things like that. They'll change your email rules. They'll attack your supply chains. They'll modify your data so you think you're calling someone, and in reality, they've swapped the phone number out with one of their phone numbers. You think you're texting with this person. In reality, they've just modified the person's text message number. How many of you can name or remember any of your employees' phone numbers? If you were to get a text message or a phone number that shows up on your phone that says it's that person, you would just go with it. Especially if they're referencing meetings that you just had or email communications you've had with these people. Again, this is the level of sophistication that is actively going on. Again, they'll impersonate people, they'll break into accounts, they'll make sure that they upgrade their permissions in SharePoint or wherever else. They'll authorize payments, they'll implement surveillance to spy on you in real time, they'll try and blackmail you, they'll use ransomware, and again, they'll continue to socially engineer your network as well. That's the end of the doom and gloom. We can talk about how to stay secure here. So very, very briefly, the top 5 up here are all free solutions. So these are things you can do for free. We are actively working to make sure that all of our clients have this in place by the end of February. If you don't already, the majority do. There's just about 40 or so of you folks that I've reached out to since October to make sure you have this level of security in place to match some of our other clients. But essentially what's going on here is the custom sign-in pages. So for example, when I sign into my Microsoft account, there is a custom logo that shows up instead of this generic Microsoft logo that I talked about earlier, where you just see the generic Microsoft or Google sign-in page. So instead of dealing with that, we want to make sure that you have a custom branded sign-in page, so your staff are trained that when they sign into Google or they sign into Microsoft, they are not to do so unless they see that custom sign-in page. That will reduce the effectiveness of these phishing scams where people are trying to capture your sign-in information by an exponential increase. You also want to make sure you have multi-factor authentication in place. Again, the majority of our clients, well, all of them that got breached by these types of attacks did not have multi-factor in place. They got on an AI watch list and they were bombarded hundreds of times every half an hour, every 15 minutes by these AIs brute forcing their email passwords, trying to guess them thousands of times over, referencing publicly available dark web information that shows in 2022 when Twitter was hacked, or when these healthcare providers were hacked, or when Life Labs was hacked. This was your account password, this was your address, this was your email, this was your phone number. They just used different variations of those passwords to try and brute force into your system. That cost them nothing to do. Those AIs just run maybe the cost of Hydro for them to be able to break into your systems. Very important to have multi-factor to prevent those from working. And device whitelisting, so that even if you do give up your email password, they still can't get into your account because you've set up your Google, your Microsoft, your Slack, your whatever, your Dropbox to only allow predetermined whitelisted devices to connect to your systems. So even if they do steal your two-factor token, they're using an unregistered, unauthenticated device that cannot get into the system. That is going to solve 99% of these problems for most people. It's free. It takes maybe a couple of hours to set up. Highly recommend it. Again, making sure that your website is protected with these 3 records here to prevent you from being targeted by people impersonating you, and also to prevent an AI from scanning around different websites and then flagging you as a potential target because it's showing these malicious actors that you are negligent, you haven't done the bare minimum, you don't have these records in place. The other thing here is these IT and operational policies. Again, acceptable use. What is it okay for someone to work from home using the same computer that their child and their wife uses? I've seen a movie production get shut down for 6 weeks because one of the producer's sons wanted to play Roblox on his computer, and the kid downloaded some sort of add-on. It infected their Dropbox and all their file systems and servers in their office, shut the whole business down for 6 weeks. It's a mess. Also, again, having a good operational policy of anything larger than $500 being sent out of the company requires these 3 checks before it can go out. You have to make a phone call, you have to meet in person, you have to do this or that or whatever. But again, you want to have these IT and operational policies in place. And then the paid solutions down on the bottom. You want to have email filters, you want to have active backups, you want to have alerting and response software in case suspicious activity is happening inside of your organization. You want to be monitoring you and your partners and your vendors' information on the dark web so you can make sure that if they've been breached, if their information is leaked, you know about it before they reach out to you and you fall for the scam. You also want to make sure that you have, I know I'm in the way here, but you also want to make sure that you have phishing training going on for your staff. There you go, phishing training. So you also want to make sure that your staff are being regularly trained. I recommend twice a month per staff member, and you're aware of who is falling for the fake scams that you're generating, so they can be sure to attend the monthly seminars like this that we're going to be hosting in the future, where we kind of do a deep dive into modern threats. What was the most common thing that month? What tools exist that you can use to keep yourself safe? Things like this. So yeah, these are the 5 paid tools. These are the 5 free things you can use that I would recommend everyone have in place. Now, I do want to talk about some of these other cheat sheet sort of tools we can use here. So I'm just going to move myself over again so you can read all of these. But you'll see here that we do have a number of things in place. So for example, you want to have good backups in place. We call it the 3-2-1 backup system. And again, as our clients, you guys already have these in place. I think 99% of our clients have a good backup in place from us. That's something we've been absolutely incessant on. So when we talk about backups, what you want to have in place is 3 different locations. 2 of those backups need to be from completely separate providers, and 1 of those backups need to be in something called cold storage so that it's not affected by a live breach or live corruption, and you can go back and reference a backlog of backups in case they are corrupted. These are some free options for folks here. Lower cost. Downtime tolerance is something to consider. If you're using a backup that's half the price, but it's going to take you 48 hours instead of 4 hours to recover, are you okay with that? Do you need 2 terabytes of backup space, or do you actually only have about 10 gigabytes that's actually critical? That can save you thousands of dollars a year. How frequently do you need your backups to take place? If something crashes on a Monday at the end of the day and your last backup was Friday evening, are you okay losing that full day of work? How long do you want to keep your data in place? If you get compromised for a year and these people infect a year's worth of your backups, you lose everything. I've seen that happen multiple times. Do you want your data on-site or off-site? If there's a break-in, it's going to be significantly cheaper for you to do on-site backups, but if there's a break-in, a fire, some sort of emergency, you're going to lose all of your data. Do you need file system only backups, or do you want to also back up your full system. So if you spill coffee on your computer, for example, it's one click, we restore the entire image of the system and everything is the way that you wanted it to be. The alternative to that is we only do file backups, and then all of a sudden we need to spend 4 hours making sure your Outlook font is right and the reading pane is in the right place, and that piece of software you purchased 8 years ago that you need a license for, you need to go dig around and find that license in your old email account. All of these things become a real pain when you start to actually do a restore. You also need to use a vendor that's going to be regularly testing and restoring your backups. Very simple for the endpoint security side of things. Use antivirus. Make sure that you're using a non-admin account. What that means is that if you try to install something on the account that you use every day, you should be prompted to enter an administrative account password on your computer. You shouldn't be able to install software on the account that you use every day. That way, if you click on a malicious link, you download a malicious resource, that information will not be able to infect your system because it will require you to enter in a password prompt. So if you're just benignly using your computer, you open up a Word document and all of a sudden it says it's trying to install a macro on your machine, you know it's malicious, you can delete it, you can report it to us. And then again, make sure you're up to date. Very important that you're not running Windows 10. Unless you're running the extended security update. We rolled out about 50 of those to our clients. There's about 50 people that are still using Windows 10 in that context. So if you're not one of those people and you are still using Windows 10, you need to upgrade to Windows 11 now, or you need to register for the Windows 10 extended security update. Email security, again, make sure you have multi-factor authentication, make sure you're backing your data up, make sure that you're using email filters, make sure that you have the appropriate account access restrictions in place. I'm sorry, but if you're the owner of a business, your email account should not have admin access. You should have a secondary dedicated account for you to use to administrate your organization. Again, if you're using your generic, regular, everyday email as an administrative account and your account gets compromised, the one that you type the password in for 100 times a day, your entire organization is now at risk, and it's frankly unacceptable. Same thing with the device access restrictions. Make sure that only pre-approved whitelisted devices can access your system. And then in case some of your devices get stolen or lost, make sure that you can remotely wipe the device as well. And then finally, these are some of the policies that we recommend here. I have another screen up for policies. We're going to go over those in a second here. But these are the top 9 or 10, I believe it's 8, policies that I would recommend every business have. And then here's a more in-depth look at some of these policies here. So again, acceptable use. You want to make sure that people understand when they're using your company email, they're not allowed to sign up for pokerstars.net. They're not allowed to sign up for Cineplex. They're not allowed to sign up for Bumble. They're not allowed to sign up for these personal applications. That work email is for work only. That work email is to be accessed by work devices only. That work device is only to be accessing work information. Personal devices and personal platforms and personal usage has no place in a modern workspace. Your partner has no business using your work account. You have no business doing work on your partner's personal device. It adds an entirely exponential level of risk to the whole situation here. Now, a couple of final things: password policies, permission sets, having a disaster recovery plan, having incident response plans, having a bring your own device plan. These things are all absolutely critical. I'm happy to discuss these at a later date. I'm sure all of you have heard me talk about these in depth. We've already worked with you guys to have these in place. We have 178 different templates available for everybody that's going to be in this meeting. If you're unclear on these, if you think they're out of date, if you'd like to update yours or you want to have a consult with us, just feel free to file a ticket. And Killian, myself, Simon, and maybe some others can join that call and get you guys set up with these sorts of policies again, or help you update them for 2026. But these are the main critical ones that I would recommend just right out of the gate here. Now, final things. These are the pieces of infrastructure we already have in place. Again, for I would say 99% of people on this call, you already have the antivirus systems put in place. We're already filtering your malicious websites. We're monitoring and managing your devices. We are backing up your systems. you're getting the security updates, and we are securing your network. So again, if you're working from home and you did decline a home firewall, obviously your network isn't going to be secure. If you're using, again, any of the exceptions to these things, you're probably well aware of what they are already. If you're unclear about any of these things, just again, file a ticket and we'll get you the answers you're looking for right away. And again, I would say about 98% of people are now on our new cloud security bundle system. Again, about 60% of our clients were on it before October of 2025. Now we've got about 98% coverage. So I'm very happy to see everyone has moved on and upgraded their systems to include these. These are absolutely critical. Again, we want to be monitoring you on the dark web, making sure that you, your partners, your vendors, and your clients, we're monitoring all of those domains so that if anything is breached or anything gets leaked, we're able to actually take a look at those things and notify you of them before they become a problem for you and your business. We also want to have email filters in place so that you're secure from those things. And then, as I mentioned before, with the Best Buy website, we want to have AI-driven advanced email threat prevention so that even if they do send you a legitimate OneDrive link, a legitimate DocuSign, that you have a system in place that follows you through the internet and prevents you from clicking on one of those secondary or tertiary malicious links. We also want to make sure that your staff is getting trained on a bi-monthly basis. Every 2 weeks, we want to be sending them a fake email and then sending you a report on whether or not someone in your business is a liability. We want to do live backups of your data in case people have breached you. And again, they're deleting the emails as they go out, things like that. And then we also want to make sure that we're alerted and monitoring your Microsoft and Google systems. So if anyone is using an unknown location, device, or network to connect to your account, we get an alert or we can automatically block the connection. If someone's trying to install an application to get access to your contacts, calendars, emails, or files, we get an alert or we can block it. If someone is forwarding, hiding, deleting, or otherwise rerouting your emails, we get an alert and we can block it. Same thing if they're changing your authentication methods, your two-factor, your password resets, things like that. We get an alert or we can block it. And then finally, if they're sharing, downloading, or otherwise exfiltrating your data, again, we can get an alert or we can block it. Almost none of our clients are using this. Again, we do have a small select few, government, high-level professional services. If anyone is interested in getting a managed security operations center put in place, this is basically a complementary service to the existing cloud security bundle and the existing infrastructure bundles. This is a 24/7 dedicated team of folks based in the US. They would be automatically monitoring, responding to, and taking care of these systems for you. Takes a bit of a load off my team, gets you some higher quality service in terms of response time. Again, these people are immediately able to investigate and look into things. We might have a 15-minute or an hour delay depending on our service desk traffic that day. But this is something that, again, is a complimentary offer to what we've listed before. And I just want to make sure everyone's aware of what they can do to protect themselves. And as most of you are aware as well, those of you with in-person offices not working remotely, we have been offering free penetration tests to everybody that's signed up for that new cloud security bundle. So this is a $10,000 to $15,000 service. Thankfully, we've made a partnership with a company that's automated this. It gets reviewed again by American-based high-level cybersecurity experts. And you get a full executive summary report after this free service is done. And again, if you are somebody that wants to get a full penetration test done of your infrastructure done for free, just again, file a ticket. We'll make sure you get it. And again, what this penetration testing does, to be clear, is we look at your entire device set list, your network, your servers, your cloud services, everything and anything you have that's connected to your central network, and then we let you know it's basically a BS detection test on us. Is your system up to date? Do you have holes in it? Is your firewall insecure? Is it easy to break into your systems? How are the cloud security account protected? Things like that. So it gives you a full top-down scope view of your infrastructure inside of your business, and it tells you if we haven't done our job properly, and it gives you a full summary that you can use if you're trying to get higher level clients like the government or maybe the military. It also lets you go after things like cyber insurance, get a discounted rate, things like that. And again, this is something we're offering for free to all of our clients, one time, and then after that, it's either a one-time fee every time you want to do it. And again, we're not charging $10,000 or $15,000. This is we're trying to undercut that, or it can be added as a complimentary monthly fee, where we then provide the service on a monthly basis for you. So again, if you're interested in this for free one time, let us know. Probably save some money on cyber insurance, get some peace of mind, and also again, BS detect us, make sure we're doing what we should be doing for you. So that's about it. I do apologize, we're right on the hour mark here. So if anybody does have any questions, I'm happy to take them now. I can see we've got one comment here. I think that might be Christine. She's mentioning that she had that workflow show up when she was looking at a travel site. And I think she's talking about this workflow of capturing your sign-in information right here, where somebody will send you a link. You click on the link, it asks you to sign in, and it tries to capture information. So if anybody has any questions or concerns, feel free to throw them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll give it a minute here. And I do appreciate everybody taking the time today. And, I hope everyone has a very happy 2026. And I hope you found some of the information in here enlightening as to how you're going to be targeted. That is the number one thing to keep in mind, is that your trusted relationships can and will be leveraged against you. So again, keep that in mind. If you're receiving expected communications from trusted sources, it's very important to stay diligent and make sure that you are checking things out before you start throwing your password, throwing your username around, before you start sending money around. Make sure that you're doing these things, and again, staying secure online and just being aware of what's going on. Don't be the 2/3 of folks that are being negligent, resulting in a compromise. Be part of that 33% that it's completely out of your control. Anyways, I got another little hi there in the chat. I appreciate that. And I will leave it here then if we have no questions or concerns. So again, I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you very much. I look forward to discussing this in a little bit more detail during our quarterly reviews. And I hope you all have a fantastic 2026. And have a great rest of your day and enjoy your weekend.